Tonight I dine on Nerdle Soup.
Hello everyone, welcome to the premiere episode of Nerdle Soup. I am Rio, nerd of all trades, master of none, and with me is Donnie.
Hi, I'm Donnie. I like that, nerd of all trades, master of none. I didn't know we were gonna have a saying.
Well, I figured we'd all have our set title.
Well, thanks for the heads up on that. You know what? Tune in next week, see what title I came up with for myself. We're gonna talk all things nerd on this podcast, or as much as we feel like in each episode.
That's right.
We basically took our off-air conversations and just turned the microphone on. And hopefully there are other nerds out there that will either share our opinions or tell us why we're wrong. And either way, we welcome you.
Well, unless they're like dicks about it, but...
You know, the internet is such a negative place. Be positive. It's okay to disagree, but disagree respectfully.
Let's not turn into a Twitter war here. On the show here, we'll also be doing sorted bits of news from the new nerd world. Not nude nerd world, just the regular nerd world. If you want nude nerd world, you got to go to the Rule 34 websites, and we technically don't condone that.
If you're 18 and over, go nuts. Do whatever you want.
Yes,
you know.
Absolutely. We're not going to get into any shipping wars or anything like that either.
No, we're not going to get into all that.
Yeah, no drama here. We may lay out the information of drama going on in elsewheres, but that's about it.
There's too much drama.
We are just passive observers. We are the Greek choir telling you our observations. Is that a little unnerdy, or is that like theater nerd quality right there?
You can be both. You can be a play that gets adapted into a movie.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, is that really technically nerdy? I mean, the theater nerds always go nuts for it, so I guess yeah, it does count. Especially like Less Miserable and all those other movies.
Yeah, The Miserable Lesbian, that's a great play. Everyone loves that.
They're probably going to hate you for saying that.
Yes, they will.
They will.
And we welcome their hate comments below.
I mean, if you're masochistic, yeah, but I'm very sensitive.
That's the thing, though. People don't understand this. Hate views and hate comments and hate talking of rants about a show, it all still counts as views. And
oh yeah, look at Velma, or rather, don't.
That is literally why Velma's getting a season 2. That's why Kevin Smith's He-Man is getting a season 2. That's why everything you hate gets extended longer. So the best thing you can do if you hate a thing is to just not talk about it.
More or less. I mean, casuals aren't going to really care. They're going to be like, oh, there's a cartoon about Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo. Let's watch that.
Yes.
I'm going to go to work now. And then you can't really...
how they all...
I guess. That's what I'm saying.
Is that how they all sound?
Yes.
Do they...
Yes.
Pray tell, where do they work? They sound like they work at the box factory.
Well, I'm going to work at the box factory now.
You'll workshop it. That's fine.
I am a practicing voice actor, so that might
yes.
slip out every once in a while. We will be doing movie reviews as they come along. Sometimes older movies that we rediscover, or other people have rediscovered. We have a very extensive library. It doesn't even have to be like a fresh movie or anything like that. Just as long as it's got like a nice little cult following and it fits pop culture reference, and everybody's seen Titanic, so that doesn't count.
I was going to say, it just had its 25th anniversary.
Wow, that's almost like the entire length of the movie. That was a terrible joke about the timing. You see, the joke is the movie's very long in length, so you feel like you've been there for a couple of years.
I prefer the Asylum's Titanic 2, myself.
Now, is that the animated one with the rapping dog, or like some other Titanic 2 that they keep putting out every year?
No, they literally made a live-action movie called Titanic 2, based on the actual boat, of course.
Now, they missed the mark by not calling it Titanic.
That does work,
am I right? Or Titanic.
You know, there's also a Titanic 3, which ironically was put out by Tubi TV, which I believe is one of the many, 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 many things owned by Disney, which means technically you could count it as a sequel to the original Titanic.
through all this unscrupulous corporate buyouts and everything, yeah, that does fall into technicality.
Titanic 3 is not called Titanic 3, however. It is called Titanic 666. Because it deals with...
The devil?
The ship. It deals with the ship being haunted.
Of course. But, ocean ghosts and all that. Now, is it on par with Ghost Ship? Does it have like a really awesome beginning, but then the rest of the movie sucks?
No.
Just suckage the whole way?
Just suckage almost all the way through. But I love... that is one thing I love about younger people, is you can totally prank them with that. You show them Titanic, and if they love it, you're like, all right, let's put in Titanic 2 next. And it has nothing to do. Yes. It's a great prank. Try it at home, kids.
I think the one I like to do most is say, we're going to watch the Aristocats, which is an old Disney cartoon movie. And then you just put in the Aristocats.
Great joke.
I mean, it worked a lot better when people still went to video stores, so you could actually slip the Aristocrats DVD into the Aristocats DVD case. Not so much on digital, so that's another reason why I fully endorse physical media. Please bring that back. Video stores are a dying form that they need to thrive.
Absolutely. Digital stuff is there until it's not anymore. You need to own your stuff.
That's right. Sure, I might cost you a little bit, but, once that big EMP hits and this takes out the whole internet, you're going to be thankful you have it, provided you can actually power the TV and the Blu-ray player, but no.
Disney Plus in India just lost 1.9 million subscribers because they had an issue with cricket over there. So now a lot of people in India just don't have Disney Plus anymore. So case in point right there. I was saving that for nerd news, but there you go.
Cricket, the British baseball? Or like the phone service?
No, the phone company.
Oh. I was going to say, I didn't realize that they still like their colonizers' sports over there in India.
I mean, Disney could buy a baseball team if they wanted to.
Or a cricket team, but,
Or both.
They could.
They could buy a baseball team and make them play cricket.
You know what? That actually would probably be a really good premise for a movie. And I'm surprised Disney has not jumped on that.
Somebody buying a sports team.
And then making them play a completely different sport.
What would be the villain's motivation? Just for his own or her own amusement?
I don't know. There's too many sports movies
we'll
where
workshop.
Basically same. Yeah, we'll workshop on that.
Well, what was that? What was that one sports movie where? Was it Major League? No, it wasn't. It's one where they were basically betting on the team being terrible, and then they could sell them off or something.
That would be Major League, yeah.
Oh, I had it right. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, you just Major League it. You know what? This is the pitch right here. It's Major League meets the producers. They're intentionally trying to make a terrible sports team, which they can then sell off for a profit. But you got to make them terrible first.
So it's basically Major League.
Well, yeah, but we don't say
Major
that.
League was a sports version of the producers, basically.
Well, yeah, we just do that again.
Yes, except without.
But call it something else. Yeah.
It was a sports version of the producers without all the Hitler stuff. I finally got around to seeing Antman and the Wasp: Quantumania, and you yourself got back from watching Creed 3.
I did. I had to choose which third movie in a trilogy to put my money on, and I chose Creed 3, and I will get into why, but let's hear what you thought about Ant-Man and the Wasp. By the way, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. By the way, we should tell the people, and I don't care. You can spoil it for me if you want to. I don't care. But are we doing spoiler?
I'm going to hold off on spoilers for now. I'll give it maybe like about a couple weeks before I make any spoilers. But another thing to note is this technically was Jonathan Majors' weekend for us here, because he was in both movies as the antagonists.
He was, and everyone says, and granted, you haven't seen Creed 3 yet, I haven't seen Ant-Man 3 yet, but those who have been fortunate enough to see both swear that even though he's the antagonist in both, it is like night and day with his performances. Oh, yeah. He is that good and diverse.
I can attest that in Quantumania, he knocked it out of the park, and he was really the tent pole holding that whole movie up. He was so fantastic in that. You can feel the emotion that he brings into it. Like, this guy, he's got to have at least 3 Oscars before he dies someday.
So you're looking forward to Kang Dynasty?
Oh yeah. And there's going to be a lot of Kang. in that dynasty. And if you're familiar with the character in the comic books, you'll know that's not a spoiler because Kang is a very annoyingly... He just feels like he literally pulls things out of thin air, which he does a lot because they're like stored in like a time container or something, and then they just materialize in his hands, and then you think you kill him, but then, oh, that was me from 5 minutes ago, so I'm back now. But it's like, frick, really? And I'm very expecting to see that happen in the next movies. So
you're saying it's very Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey rules.
That's basically what the entirety of Kang the Conqueror is as a character. It's the Bill and Ted rules of time travel.
We've got you in a jail cell. No, you don't, because I went back and gave myself a key.
Exactly, yes. Kang the Conqueror is the living embodiment of that. He is the Bill and Ted time travel rules personified.
He is that annoying kid. He is that annoying kid who you're playing with, who every time you kill him in the game is like, no, I'm wearing special armor.
I got a force field that protects me from bullets. And moms.
That was one of the great
feelings of your mom leaving you. Dennis. Sorry.
Take that, people named Dennis.
Sorry, I went a little deep there. Went a little personal.
Take that, Dennis Johnson from 123 Elm Street.
That's a very generic address. I don't think anybody would ever get that one.
May or may not be his real name.
But yeah, Quantumania, I enjoyed it. I did not expect it to be like a super theatrical film franchise changing entry, which apparently everybody else went in expecting it to be.
Well, they told us going in, this is the kickoff of Phase 5. This is going to be the setup for Kang Dynasty. And then it just... Yeah.
And it does work as a nice kickoff point. And there was a couple little hiccups with some of the pacing. I wouldn't say too badly. Maybe just how they introduced a couple of the characters. But aside from that, I felt like it was a pretty solid movie. Love and Thunder set at a very low bar for the rest of the movies. But so far, and people are probably going to burn me for this, but I thought Multiverse of Madness and Quantumania both definitely leaped over that bar very easily. So maybe I'm just enjoying the fact that they have all these characters on screen. But yeah, I liked it. Like, everybody's going to complain, oh, it had PS2 graphics and stuff like that. But you know what? No, it looked fine. It works as a good Marvel movie. It works as a good sci-fi adventure movie. I mean, the kid's definitely going to like it. If you're a true Marvel kid at heart, you're going to like it.
There's usually a drop-off in the second week for any movie because a lot of people that want to see it saw it the first week, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But the drop-off was greater than they expected.
Well, that's unfortunate.
The highest second week drop for a Marvel film ever. 69% drop.
Nice.
The previous record holder for that was Batman vs. Superman. The previous Marvel holder for that was Thor Love and Thunder.
Naturally.
It beat both of those. However, they're not pleading poverty yet because Ant-Man 3 had the greatest opening of any Ant-Man movie. It made over $300 million, $363.2 million worldwide as of now.
Not bad.
It was the first 100 million plus grosser of 2023. So, all in all, it's doing fine enough.
All in all, yes. I don't think the mouse is going to be worried about poverty anytime soon either. So,
no
matter how many YouTubers post up videos with thumbnails of Kevin Feige crying with a thumbnail with a subtitle like "Mickey went broke because he went woke."
Yes, 363.2 million. I would love to have a failure with that kind of number.
I wish I could fail like Disney did. I mean, if you're part of the Zack Snyder cult, you're going to find any excuse to hate on Marvel, so no use in arguing with that.
Well, that's not their audience anyway. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
and
Marvel's whimsical. which is the exact opposite of Snyder movies. But
Well, and the opposite is true too. Marvel fans will find any excuse to hate on anything DC does, old or new.
well, I will
Hardcore.
give Snyder movies their merits where they are due, but I'm not gonna say that Dawn of Justice was a good movie. I will say that Man of Steel had a lot of heart at the right spots, and there were some misses, but I felt like it was a good, solid Superman movie.
I enjoyed his philosophical interpretation of Superman. I enjoyed if that is what would happen if God came down tomorrow, which is essentially what Superman is. How would the world actually react? And you would have people on the news arguing about it. Whose side is he on? Is it right for him to do this or that? You know, that was a cool take on it.
It was.
And don't just pick on Snyder. There's plenty of other stuff.
If they had Twitter back in the '80s when G.I. Joe came out, they'd probably lose their shit over that.
If they had Twitter when Power Rangers was the thing, yeah, the multicultural Power Rangers, which is coming back soon. So that's exciting.
Well, Power Rangers never really went away, did it?
Yeah, granted. But I mean, as far as the original cast coming back, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The cast is still around.
Well, true that. Rest in peace, David Frank.
R.I.P. Trini. Toy Train.
Yes.
Greatness. Legend.
We know she gets a shout out in the new Netflix special. I'm wondering if they're going to put one in for JDF.
Well, I'm pretty sure they will, because he was kind of their bread and butter for a good long while. Since
you would think.
After
there is
guy who played Jason left and all that.
He came back more than any of the originals did. Let's put that out there. There is some confusion about who the Green Ranger will be in the upcoming special. Most assume it's JDF, but apparently he turned it down. He and Kimberly turned it down.
I think I heard something about it being given to Johnny Young Boss now. Yeah.
Adam? Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I've heard Adam. I've heard JJ. I've heard his daughter wants to do it. But you know what? We'll have to wait. April 19th. That's when that special is coming out. And then we will hopefully know the answer. Or maybe they could just always, with blessings of the family or whoever, use stock footage. You never know.
And I'm really... Have they announced if they're going to bring in Bryan Cranston to make a cameo or anything? Because he was in the original series, too.
They haven't announced that, but you never know. That would be awesome if they did. We are getting Robo Rita with the original voice actress, so that's pretty great.
Nice. Not that I'm necessarily a big Power Rangers fan myself. I only recently got into Power Rangers in the last couple of years.
Recently got into Power Rangers.
Yes. Funny enough, it was because of Vernon Wells. That was it. If you're a big nerd, you'll remember him as the guy with the mohawk in The Road Warrior. And if you're a big 80s nerd, you'll remember him as Bennett from Commando.
Oh, shit, I do remember Bennett.
With awesome steam, Bennett. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
If your name is Bennett, you have to watch that movie on your birthday. It's a rule.
Absolutely. But he was also in the season of Power Rangers Time Force, the main villain.
Nice.
And that's actually what got me into watching Power Rangers was, oh shit, Vernon Wells is in this? I gotta check this out.
I am honestly envious of younger fans or fans like you that discover these fandoms later and have this huge back catalog of content to watch and enjoy.
It does make for some nice treadmill time to go through the whole catalog.
Speaking of Goku, I just saw Creed 3 last night, and one of the punches thrown was inspired by Goku. There is a lot of anime influence in that movie, and it really makes it feel like a different movie.
Tell me he put in little anime speed lines during each punch. Is there little speed line graphics like in Scott Pilgrim?
They do slow. There's not that, but they do slow it down where you can see the sweat and the ropes will change into prison bars and just really interesting visual things like that are clearly anime inspired.
I gotta say they're really drifting far away from it being a Rocky movie or a Rocky associated spinoff to its own thing, aren't they?
They really are, and part of that is intentional, and I kind of get it and I kind of don't. And in fact, this movie was toned down, some of the darkness in it, was toned down to make it more Rocky-esque, and ironically, I think that actually hurt the movie.
So is it trying to be more realistic, or is it trying to be more like fantastical, comic booky, cartoony?
Well, no, they've all been fairly realistic enough, with some exceptions in the Rocky series. Rocky's been grounded. Rocky got grounded again after Rocky 4. And it's been grounded enough in as much as, characters having sons that conveniently also box and things like that. But, movie logic, you gotta look past it a little bit, right?
I mean, it's not like anybody has a pet robot or anything.
No, that...
that would be
Rest
just
in peace.
silly.
Rest in peace, Seiko.
Was that the robot's name?
That was the robot's name, but it never came up. But it never came up on screen, but that is the robot's name.
Wow. I've been to 2 different sushi restaurants. One was in a casino over here in town. The other one was it's a regular sushi restaurant. They both had a little robot that comes out with trays attached to it. It makes a little musical jingle. And it's got a little digital face with a little happy cat face on it. And I did not expect it both times. I'm thinking maybe this is like a new thing for sushi restaurants, that they're all getting like little sushi robots. But yeah, this totally came out of nowhere, and we're just like, what the hell is this? And this is awesome. And can I get one? And no, we can't. But apparently, if you have a sushi restaurant, then you can get one.
I already don't trust robots enough as it is. I definitely don't trust a robot to serve me raw fish.
You're afraid they're going to taint it?
I'm afraid they're going to do something, yeah.
I'll look out Megan's serving raw steak. Or M3 gonna...
The robot's like, you didn't tip me, kill all humans.
Does a little dance, and then it kills you.
You gotta do the Megan dance, yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I guess the guys at DreamWorks, have you seen Puss in Boots yet, the new one?
No, I didn't plan on it, but is it awesome? Apparently
Everybody
it's
says
awesome.
that it's like the most awesome animated movie this year, and I'm inclined to agree. I haven't seen it myself, but I just picked it up, and I'm going to be watching it probably tonight or tomorrow. One of the main villains is Death, like the literal personification of death. And it's this big burly white wolf with these 2 sickles, and it's like the most blood-borne, souls-borne thing you could ever imagine. It looks so totally awesome. And his thing is he's tracking Puss in Boots because it's Puss's last life, because he already used his other 8 lives, The guys who did the movie threw in like a little added scene. I don't think it's officially part of the movie yet. Nobody showed me yet. I haven't seen it yet. But they have Death do the Megan dance. Like the same exact pose, the same movements and everything. As like
That's awesome.
I guess it's like a little Easter egg. I don't know if it's actually in the movie, but there's footage of it on Twitter where they have both of the footages side by side, and yeah, they're having the Death Wolf do the Megan dance, and it's friggin' awesome.
I look forward to the Megan dance replacing the Fortnite dance in every movie now. So there may or may not be a Batman Beyond animated movie that is their answer to Into the Spider-Verse.
Aha. And when did this
It was
pop up?
It was a movie that was being worked on under the old DC regime, and it was presumably canceled along with a lot of other stuff that got canceled.
Mhm.
But when asked about it, James Gunn did not mention that project specifically, but he did say he's open to having animated things as part of his universe, and he said he is open to having animated things in his universe cross over into live action with the same voice actors, which sounds cool on paper, but I don't think he understands how voice acting works.
Yeah. Like they've had some really great live action actors cast as characters, but then when it's just them acting to nothing, you kind of notice the quality go down a little bit.
Scott Menville is 51 years old.
He is.
So he is not going to show up in live action and be Teen Titans Robin.
Probably not.
That's not how that works.
Though from what I've seen of his photos, he probably could pull off a good Lex Luthor in the style of John Cryer from the TV show.
He really could.
Yes.
He really could. I could see that.
Yes.
But yeah. So good idea on paper, James Gunn, but maybe workshop that one a little more.
Now, if we did want to still stick with James Gunn and Scott Menville, if James Gunn were to do another Scooby-Doo movie, You think he would bring Scott Menville back as Red Harry?
I hope so. We can only dream.
Seriously, Red Herring was like the best thing out of the pup named Scooby-Doo. That's like the one thing I mainly remember from that show, just because everything else was so atrocious. I know everybody loves that show, Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I grew up watching that one when it actually first came out. I hated that freaking show.
I watched it when it came out too, but I barely remember anything about it. It was just Scooby-Doo, but they're younger now.
It was a good premise, and it was right at the zenith of the culture of, let's do these cartoons based on them as kids movement, which started with Muppets and ended with Looney Tunes, but they were really done by like the absolute worst studio, in my opinion.
I will say, Muppet Babies and Baby Looney Tunes are both bangers. I enjoyed both those shows.
I've only ever really watched Muppet Babies. I never really got into Baby Looney Tunes just because I was, by that time, in my only anime is cool phase, so...
I would definitely recommend Baby Looney Tunes to you and anyone listening. Granny owns a farm with this new original character. I forget his name, but it was a farm where all the Looney Tunes just lived together, and it was very fun.
Farm. Farms the kids.
She was basically, I mean, they didn't say it or play it this way, but she was basically an animal hoarder.
So she was a granny.
She was doing what grannies do.
Granny hoarding animals in a farm. I totally believe that, especially where I grew up.
Somebody should do that, honestly. Just make the R-rated Looney Tunes where it is just Granny hoarding animals, and there's just newspaper everywhere, and
that weird smell.
That weird Granny smell.
Not the weird Granny smell, the weird hoarder smell. You all know what that smell is.
Yes, if you have a hoarder in your life, if
you've lived in a rural county and you've visited houses that are isolated from other houses, you definitely know what that smell is. And it's not regional. There's always one in at least every back part of the county. There's always one. There's always that one crazy cat lady. Or that lady who collects dachshunds. You can never tell
that lady
how many wiener dogs she's got.
Or that lady who still swears her Beanie Babies are coming back, and they'll be worth something one day.
Yeah, and then she brings out like a big plastic tote full of them, and like half of them are wet. I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to go up in value.
I know that they smell like mold right now. You can brush that off. It'll be fine.
The mildew smell adds to the collector value of it. What were we talking about again? So, other news. Ninja Turtles. My big specialty here. They got a new movie coming out. Produced by Seth Rogen. TMNT Mutant Mayhem. And they've just released info about the cast. And it's right there on their Twitter. And this is pretty good stuff here. They released like little teaser images. And I believe they did play a trailer at this presentation, but they haven't released the trailer online yet. So there are some people with recordings. But they have released little name cards on the Twitters with who has been cast as who.
Do tell.
Yes, and this is awesome.
What are we looking at?
First of all, for the main four Ninja Turtles, these are all newer kid actors too, I might add. So we're probably not going to recognize them ourselves, but I'm sure a lot of the younger generation will. Nicholas Cantu is Leonardo, or Leo.
I feel like I've heard his name somewhere, but I can't remember from where.
He's done mainly How to Train Your Dragon TV show stuff.
Okay.
Oh! He was also the voice of Gumball.
Well, there you go.
Yes, from The Wonderful World of Gumball. And then for Mikey, we have Shaman Brown Jr., who is most notable for The Chi, or The Chai, which is a Netflix series, I believe. And then for Donatello, Micah Abbey. His main thing is a Nickelodeon show called Cousins for Life.
Yeah, I do remember Seth Rogen saying in an interview that he wanted to really lean into the teenage side of the Ninja Turtles, which makes sense. That is a good reason why the Turtles keep getting rebooted every few years, because what a modern teenager is keeps changing, and
Yeah.
the Turtles should reflect that.
I'm just already excited to know that Gumball's going to be Leonardo.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
And-
saw the character designs. I can't decide if I like or hate the character designs.
I have no problem with them at all, especially after Rise of the Ninja Turtles. I know everybody's going to hate me for that one. I like the designs. It makes them definitely look teenagery. So I got no beef with it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's their goal, I'd say they did a good job. And kudos to Seth Rogen for not putting himself in there as one of the main four. A lot of people were scared something like that was going to happen.
Oh, no, I trust Seth Rogen when it comes to comic book material, because he's been pretty respectful for a lot of the sources for stuff he's produced. In fact, I feel like he's improved some of them. Like when he was the producer for The Boys. Terrible comic. Like, I hate it. The show is fantastic, though.
The Boys was the number one superhero thing from last year, which in a world of Marvel and DC is saying something.
Oh, yeah. It is dark. You definitely don't want the kids to watch that one. But it is a hella good show. I'll just say that. Back to the casting here. They announced Raph is going to be played by Brady Noon. He was in the Mighty Ducks TV show from Disney+. He was also in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, 2 of the movies.
The animated Mighty Ducks or the movies?
No, the live-action TV show.
Oh, I didn't even know they made that.
Yeah, it was on Disney Plus, called The Game Changers. They just canceled it, actually. But people my age and your age will probably know him best as one of the 3 kids from Good Boys.
Hell yeah.
Yes. He was the one with a foul mouth and didn't like people saying that he drank from a sippy cup.
Oh, he was Sippy Cup. That's awesome.
Yes, he was the sippy cup kid from Good Boys.
That is good casting for that.
Right?
That is good. Yeah. Now I'm excited. And shout out to Good Boys, by the way. Good movie. One of the last good R-rated original comedies out there. You guys, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's definitely one of those movies that the trailer spoils a lot of the best jokes, but when you don't watch the trailer. But if you just go in blind, or if you haven't seen it in a while and you forget the trailer jokes, watch it again. I think you'll have a good time. If you're into R-rated comedies.
It was definitely it was probably the closest thing we'll ever get to a live-action South Park. I'll say that, which is a good thing.
With the lawsuit they have going on, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. This is gonna be the big one. Splinter. Jackie Chan.
Really?
Yep.
Smart. Very smart.
Very smart. I'm really hoping we get to see Splinter fight a bunch of foot soldiers with a ladder.
Here's the question: who's playing Shredder?
They haven't announced that one yet. I'm not sure if Shredder's in this one. So, and April O'Neil is played by Ayo Edebiri. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Known for Big Mouth and The Bear.
Getting a female comedian for the role of April makes sense. I mean, you have to react to these teenage mutant ninja turtles. You would want somebody who can play that comedically.
You're going to see some really good, surprising performances out of people. Now, this is a character they got here who I did not know. I think his original. His name is Superfly. Not Baxter Stockman. Because Baxter Stockman is actually cast separately in this one. Superfly, who I'm assuming from how they logoed his name on the teaser poster. It's like a mutant fly man. Being played by Ice Cube.
Let me let that sink in for a moment.
Yep. And we do have a role for Seth Rogen. He did put himself in there.
As?
Bebop.
You know what? That's good casting, honestly.
Yes. So that's going to be 2 warthogs that he's played.
Good for Seth Rogen for staying in his lane, man.
Right.
Would you forgive him if he did the Seth Rogen laugh as Bebop?
I fully expect him to do the Seth Rogen laugh as Bebop. Now, you're going to love this one. Because you're a big wrestling fan. For Rocksteady.
John Cena!
Yes. John Cena is playing Rocksteady.
Or is he? Because we can't see him.
Well, we can't see him yet. Which also marks the second time in a row that a wrestler from WWE has played Rocksteady. In the previous movie release, he was played by Sheamus, and that was his only real theatrical appearance. But yeah.
No disrespect to Sheamus, but that is a valid replacement, if ever there was one.
I would say so, yes. And he will definitely... And this is also the second time Cena's played a Ninja Turtles character, because he was a original character in the latest Ninja Turtles cartoon, which was Rise of the TMNT. He was a completely original character made for that show. I forgot what the character's name was. It was like a general something.
I do remember that episode. I watched it during June Cena when they were doing that promotion. It was celebrating John Cena's anniversary with the company and whatnot.
We're never going to get a Steve Augustin? Or how do you... I don't know.
Try that one more time.
Steve
We're never
Austin
gonna get
August? A Steve Austin August? Or...
No Steve Austin August, but Steve Austin Day is coming up in March.
Hey, there you go. So get your beer ready.
Get your Steve Weisers ready, because that's the bottom line.
That's right. Mondo Gecko is also in the movie. And perfect timing for Antman, because he's being played by Paul Rudd. I can't wait to see that one.
That sounds fun.
Now, when they say Mutant Mayhem, they're definitely living up to this title, because I'm seeing characters that I have not seen in the movies before, and I'm loving it. And I've been wanting to see them for so long in any of the movies or the cartoons. Especially, a lot of these are gonna. I'm looking at it. I'm seeing a lot of the Mutanimals. I'm not sure if anybody, like, unless you're super hardcore into Ninja Turtles, you know who that team is. There were a bunch of side characters who were also mutants who formed their own team. One of them was Mondo Gecko. One of them was like Slash. He was my personal favorite character of all time, I might add. They actually had their own comic book in Archie for a while, and then they were killed off unceremoniously, but, you know, neither here nor there. But yeah, Paul Rudd is Mondo Gecko, who is like a skateboarding punk gecko. I guess it really depends on what interpretation he is, but he's always been kind of like a surfboarder type party guy.
That is a good deep cut. I cannot remember the last time, or if I've ever seen that interpretation in animation or live action. So
yep, we're getting even more Mutanimal characters, because we also got Wingnut the Bat. I don't know if Skrullos is in there, who is like his little mosquito buddy. Wingnut is being played by comedian Natasha Demetriou, who, if you're familiar with What We Do in the Shadows, that's her big role.
Nice.
She plays Nadja. It's a pretty solid cast, I gotta say. Yeah.
Very loaded cast, very solid.
Very, very loaded, yes.
I am now more excited for this than I was, so...
Right?
Even more to look forward to.
Yep. Next we got Ray Fillet, who's another Mutanimals character, and another really cool character. I actually have his action figure from the original series. He's a mutant manta ray. Like blue, he's got the big wing on his back and stuff like that. He's being played by Post Malone.
I do know of him. That's interesting. He is one of those rappers that does have some acting chops, so that might be pretty good.
He does, yes. And he's a really good rapper too, I might add. Like, I don't really know what he's been doing lately, because I don't closely follow him, but I've enjoyed his stuff. So.
Well, apparently he's been doing Ninja Turtles lately,
which is awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, we got Genghis Frog, one of the punk frogs. And this one's going to be my favorite. He's being played by Hannibal Buress. Baxter Stockman. Played by Giancarlo Esposito.
Another good casting.
Yes. Moff Gideon himself.
When is this movie supposed to come out?
This one is going to be coming out in August 4th.
That is a lot sooner than I thought. I am looking forward to August 4th now.
Yep. Gus Fring is going to be Baxter Stockman. Next, we got Leatherhead, another favorite of mine. He's the big alligator. They are being played by Rose Byrne, an Australian actress who was on The Boys. She was also in Peter Rabbit. She was in Troy. She was in Bridesmaids. She was in Insidious, so you might recognize her from that. She was also in a couple of the X-Men movies. And she was, I guess, the mom in the Insidious series. She was in all 3 movies.
Who was she in Bridesmaids?
She was Helen Harris III.
Ah, yes. The snooty one that eventually gets stood up to.
Yes, that's it. And she was also in Bluey. First of all, Bluey is a great television show. I mean, it's a kid's. It's definitely a kids show, but it's also great for the parents to watch it.
Bluey is one of those shows that I've heard about it. Apparently, it's huge in Australia. I believe it's on Nickelodeon over here in the States.
It's actually on. It's on Disney Plus.
Even better.
Yes, so you can definitely watch it anytime. If you're getting baked, if you're just folding laundry, if you got the kids around, if you're doing all three,
or if you just like dogs.
Or if you just like dogs, yes. Oh. But yeah, she plays the main character's aunt. She was in one episode called Onesies. The character's name is Brandy. Good episode, I might add. That's actually one of the better written episodes too. Really great scene with her character in it. So, which is surprising for like a kids show for preschoolers. But like I said, the writing on that show is great, and you'd be surprised how just how incredibly well. I'll just say Australians really know their cartoons. They pull out all the stops when it comes to really good cartoons. So I got to give them credit for that.
Does it sneak in enough humor that adults will appreciate it?
Absolutely does. Yes, probably one of the best examples of that. There's an episode where the mom and the dad, the dogs, Bandit and I think the mom's name is Chili, and they're all named like actual dogs. I think it was like right after New Year's Day. The mom and dad, Bandit and Chili, were out partying, and they're hung over in the episode, and they're both lying in the living room. They just can't get up because their heads hurt and they're just so tired and worn out from being hung over. But they don't actually say that.
It's just implied.
Yes, and they were going to take the girls out to the beach, I guess. I haven't seen the full episode yet. I've only seen clips of it. But they can't really get up or move because they're just so hungover. So
every hungover parent knows that.
Oh,
but you promised. But you said we would.
So said maybe. So to improvise, the girls pretend that they're at the beach and that the mom and dad are whales. I think I don't know if they pretend that they're beached whales or just whales in the beach, in the ocean. And the episode, it's like a 7-minute episode, but it's them pretending that they're whales and they're observing them and stuff like that. And
that sounds funny.
It is. When I explained this to my mom, because she was curious about the what the show was, and I was explaining to her what the show was at Thanksgiving. I have never seen my mom keel over laughing so hard. Like, she was laughing so hard when I described this to her. It was one of those silent laughs where they had to steady them, where she had to steady herself and just get some breaths to keep on laughing. It was probably one of the best moments ever of telling her about a show.
There is a Spider-Man 4 coming, and yes, it is Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. A lot of people were hoping it would be Spider-Man 4 with Tobey and or Andrew, and no, that's not happening. Get over it.
I mean, technically for Andrew it would be Spider-Man 3, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, because he was in, spoiler, he was in No Way Home, so that technically is his Spider-Man 3.
Well, he was only in it for less time than the main Spider-Man was, so I don't count it. Well, that's like saying Captain America: Civil War was the first Spider-Man movie for Tom. Was the first Spider-Man movie.
It was literally the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU. In that, it's the first one where he showed up.
Yeah, it's the first one where he showed up, but it's not the official Spider-Man movie.
Well,
cameo appearances I don't really count. So
I would argue he was, well, in that one, I would argue he was more than a cameo, but fair enough. You know what? This is a whole interesting nerd discussion in and of itself. Tell us down in the comments, do you believe that should count or not? Do you believe that cameos or extended cameos or things of that nature should count?
Please comment your comment in the comments.
Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff that they tell you to do on all the other shows.
If you're really generous, feel free to send us money. We'll put a link somewhere.
Yeah. You can sponsor us. We'll tell everybody about your promo code for Manscaped or Blue Chew or whatever the hell you're selling.
Or Raid Shadow Legends.
Yes,
I don't know. Are they still doing Raid Shadow Legends? I forgot.
They are. It's still a thing. Not advertised as much, but still a thing. But yes, we are getting Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland, and allegedly Tobey and Andrew will be coming in for Secret Wars again, which does not surprise me. However, I'll believe that when I see it, because every single time that there is some kind of big Marvel Avengers level event movie, all the rumors get started that everybody ever is going to be in it. And no matter how many times those rumors come out and don't come true, people still believe it the next time it happens.
Oh, yeah.
So,
probably the best example of that would be the Doctor Strange one, where
yeah.
he's going to the multiverse. That means every single character is going to be there all of a sudden. It's like, no, you save that for like the big tentpole movies, not Doctor Strange.
It's the multiverse. It's the multiverse. Hugh Jackman's going to be in it, and Ryan Reynolds, and
and Toby's going to come back and totally steal the whole show and save the day, and like, it's those kind of theories that are always probably the most grating to me whenever they announce these multi-character cameos.
Absolutely.
Probably, I would say probably one of the more infuriating ones for that one was Wreck-It Ralph. Legit, when before the movie came out, people were thinking, oh wow, the Street Fighter characters are going to be in there. They're going to help Ralph fight the bad guys, and the characters from Doom are going to be in there. It's like, no, they're not. You get like one cameo scene of M. Bison and Zangief, and that's it. Like, you want them
just
if you want a friggin' Street Fighter movie, they have one that's already made. That's perfection. It's called Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Go watch that.
Shout out to Street Fighter 2.
Yes, absolutely. The anime movie, just perfect cinema. Chef's kiss. One of the greatest anime movies of all time, up there with Akira and Ninja Scroll and Ghost in the Shell. I will go to my grave saying that.
That's a whole top 5 list right there. Not necessarily in that order, but it could be, and I wouldn't be mad at you. That is my pantheon of anime movies. Yeah, everybody keeps, whenever these announcements are made, they think, oh wow, this guy's going to be in it, this guy's going to be in it, and they're going to be so super powerful, and they're going to do everything and stop the bad guys themselves, even though they're only glorified cameos. And it's like, the name is not in the movie title, right? Yeah. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse, and it's not the Multiverse of Madness itself featuring Doctor Strange. It's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So, yes.
He's going to be the main character. Spider-Man in his movie is going to be the main character. They're going to be the ones that are going to save the day and stop the bad guys. I know the mouse is rich, but even they can't afford that many cameos at one single time, let alone screen time.
No. Exactly. The thing about these cameos that people need to understand too, it's not just about can the mouse afford them or is the actor available. These people have agents and representatives that fight to get them more screen time or more money or what have you, as the case may be.
Yep.
That's a big reason why, and there's, pre-existing contracts in the case of the X-Men. That's why you see who you see and who you don't see and for how long you see them. It's business. It's not just, hey, you want to do this movie? Sure, I'll do that out of the kindness of my heart. It's business, people.
Yeah, granted, some of them probably would, but their contracts or the licenses for the characters would say otherwise.
This is true, too. Some of them probably would. And I do think some actors or characters are a safer bet than others. Like if they called Lou Ferrigno tomorrow, hey, you want to be in Secret Wars? Sure, I'll do the Hulk again. Why not?
Granted, you'd have to probably talk to his ear a few times, but
as just one example. But
I hope he doesn't hear this joke. That was actually a plot point for Hawkeye in the recent Hawkeye series, which a lot of people finally celebrated because he actually was hearing impaired and I believe full deaf in the comic books for like the longest time. And so a lot of people were kind of celebrating when they finally brought that to canon for the MCU.
Speaking of Hawkeye, we do have some news there as well.
Is Jeremy Renner getting better?
So the writer of Kang Dynasty is talking too much.
Naturally.
And has dropped some information about who will and will not be in Kang Dynasty.
And I'm going to kind of guess Hawkeye is not.
Do you want to start with the bad news?
Sure, why not?
By the way, I guess we should say spoilers if you don't want to be spoiled about this movie that's coming out in like 2 years.
I mean, like, it's not like anything's set in stone yet. So this is just hearsay and rumors, and
This is true. Well, I mean, the writer's saying it, but granted, this could change, or depending on context, perhaps he was being facetious. We don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Until the movies themselves come out, or within like a couple months of the release of the movies, I never take anything for granted for spoilers.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, so far, according to what has been said, no X-Men and no Fantastic Four in Kang Dynasty, which feels like a huge mistake to me, but whatever.
I'm not too upset because I would hold out for Secret Wars, which is the second part of this.
That is true. That could show up there. It does feel like a big event movie like that would be a great time to introduce them in some form or fashion. Also, we know that Hugh Jackman's Logan is coming back for Deadpool 3. That is confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where, and I don't know which movie will necessarily come out first. They may not even know yet, but I could see where they would want to get the Logan Wolverine out of the way and give him his final send-off before they introduce this new variant version.
We are getting some more versions to the X-Men characters, though, in the next couple movies. According to other rumors, the plot line for the next Captain America movie is a bunch of the countries are going to the head of that Eternal, or not the Eternal, the Celestial that's in the middle of the ocean at the end of Eternals.
The next Captain America will introduce adamantium.
Adamantium, yes, because they discover adamantium on the island that was the Celestial's head. Thunderbolt Ross, now played by Harrison Ford, is now the president, and I guess he's going to be the main antagonist or bad guy for the movie.
Which makes sense because he did have Sam Wilson arrested before, and imagine if the person who wronged you before was now the president of the country. That's going to be a very interesting dynamic to play off of.
Right? I mean, really, at this point, who does Cantankerous better than Harrison Ford also? I mean, maybe Robert Duvall, but yeah. If you want like a really grumpy old guy, you got to go with Harrison Ford.
You have to. He's a great choice for that. Rest in peace. Who was the original actor?
William Hurt. Great William Hurt.
Rest in peace, William Hurt.
Yes. I can already just imagine just Harrison Ford being all grumpy. Just you can't even tell if he's acting. He's just so totally confused and doesn't care at the same time. Like, what the hell's a Hulk?
Who am I fighting? Batman? Yeah, okay, whatever. Give me the paycheck.
Just points angrily at everything.
Yes.
He never does any press. Never watches the movies. Just, I believe he lives on a farm, or he has a farm that he lives on, just away from everybody. Just total Hollywood hermit, and I love that.
As well, he would be.
Totally would.
But yes, you're hearing rumors about the younger X-Men cast may be introduced in there.
I haven't necessarily heard any young X-Men characters. Just the introduction, though, of adamantium is already enough for everybody. Because where there's adamantium, there's claws, and where there's claws, there's Canadians.
Yes,
so.
we all know where that's leading. The question is, how soon will it lead there?
Yeah, so that's probably the one that everybody's going to be on edge about.
Yes. So we'll see. But yeah, no X-Men, no Fantastic Four, as of now.
As of now.
However, the names that are going to be in Kang Dynasty.
Okay.
We know Namor will be in there.
Naturally.
Which also means Black Panther will be in there.
Right.
Now, does that mean Shuri, or does that mean T'Challa Jr., a.k.a. T'Challa?
Well, if it's time travel, and Kang is time travel, like I said, we'll probably get a little both.
Who would you want to see casted as the adult version of young T'Challa?
Hard to say. I'm not really familiar with a whole lot of actors who've been kind of fill that out that aren't big name actors. Because I know if you want to get a new character introduced, you definitely don't want a big name actor already playing him, because that's kind of those tend to overlap the characters they're playing.
Yeah, that is always. You always just see, oh, that's so-and-so playing this character. Yeah. Marvel Disney is always very good about going young and playing it straight and making them famous for that role, as opposed to grabbing a famous person, with a few exceptions, of course.
And if they're like antagonists or side characters, then they go with the bigger name actors because they've been around a lot longer, and they add some brevity to the project. And sometimes when they get killed off immediately, they're like, "Oh wow, this guy's playing for keeps" and stuff like that. So,
and you put a few more butts in seats that way. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
That never hurts.
Granted, they're older butts because a lot of the kids nowadays don't even know who Harrison Ford is, like Carrie Elwes or maybe Danny DeVito if they ever got him on there.
Oh, kids know Danny DeVito.
Yes, everybody loves Frank.
They love always. Yeah.
Now, speaking of that,
other names rumored to be in Kang Dynasty. Hawkeye.
So he is going to be in there.
Yes.
Provided, Jeremy Renner's up and ready to go by then. But
or they could always recast if necessary, but it might be a bad look to do so.
Or it might be the female Hawkeye, which was Kate Bishop, who was just recently introduced in the series.
That's true. They were setting up for Echo. So
yep.
I could see that. Agatha will not be there. She just got canceled. The other names rumored: Moon Knight and Daredevil.
Nice.
Daredevil makes sense to me. They are.
Well, Moon Knight is definitely kind of slowly edging into the cosmic level superheroes.
He is. I don't know if I can see him in there, just because the show got such mixed reactions. I don't know if you want to hedge all your bets on that necessarily.
And I enjoy it.
Well, there you go. You know what? And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
If you enjoy the movies, that's really all you need.
If you like the movies, if you like the characters, no matter whether they're comic accurate or not, if you like the actors even, if you like them and you want to see more of them and you get to, then you'll be happy. So, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But yes, Moon Knight, Daredevil, and allegedly, Spider-Man is going to lead the team, which there's been a lot of debate online about whether that's a good or a bad decision. I can see both points. Not all of the Marvel projects of the past few years have had the reception they wanted. Spider-Man has always been and will always be one of Marvel's biggest aces in the hole. It makes sense to put him front and center, but at the same time, it's the one character you don't own.
And he's never really actually led the Avengers, so...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why not build up somebody who you have? Including, by the way, why not a Sam Wilson? I mean, I assume he'll be in there too, but...
Yeah, I mean, if it is supposed to be an Avengers movie, so... I'm going to expect pretty much most of all their new additions going to be making an appearance, so...
You cannot keep going back to the Spider-Man well. You cannot keep going back to the Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. well.
And I guess it was announced recently that I guess Robert Downey Jr. won't be returning. I guess negotiations fell through and the mouse just didn't want to pay him enough.
Well, yeah, he is another one. He is another name, like we were saying earlier. He's another name that always comes up whenever there's a big Marvel project. Oh, he's going to come back there. Oh, it's going to be a variant Iron Man of him. Oh, it's like...
Well, if anybody... everybody keeps expecting Tom Cruise to be a variant Iron Man because... actually, he was probably one of the first ones who was actually considered for the role of Tony before they got Robert Downey Jr. I remember them announcing that way back in, like, 97.
He was. That was the big rumor that he was going to be in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yep.
Multiverse of Madness. But that did not end up happening, and I have never seen Tom Cruise actually talk about that ever. I don't know if that's just some rumor that gained its own life, but although he's a big star now too, and even bigger after Top Gun Maverick, I don't know. He might be edging into that.
Yeah, I'd say that recent Top Gun movie sure brought him into the mainstream, didn't it? That Tom Cruise, I don't think anybody heard about him before Top Gun Maverick.
I'm just saying it raised his stock even more than it already was.
I mean,
so
let's be honest there. How much more could his stock be raised? I mean, like, he basically owns half of Hollywood, right?
He does. He is one of the last. He is one of the last legit action stars left.
I would say he's probably one of the last remnants of true Hollywood royalty at this point.
He really is.
Yeah,
And
they don't really have like movie stars anymore. They just have people who've starred in shows and movies.
yes, they're famous for being famous. They're in enough stuff.
Well, they're
You know,
famous for being the characters now more often than they are for just being who they are.
yeah.
A majority of them, not all of them. I'm just saying.
And sometimes it's a little of both. They just cast a TikToker in something. So, it's a changing world. Yeah, the era of true movie stardom is gone. And well,
This
is a
just
whole
in:
side.
Logan Paul's been cast for Paste Pot Pete. But I digress.
Wrestling news. WWE may or may not be for sale. All we heard a lot about it, but then all we heard was companies kept not being interested in it. Endeavor recently passed on it. A lot of companies haven't commented at all. There were rumors that it was being sold to Saudi Arabia, but that either hasn't happened yet, fell through. It's hard to say. Tony Khan expressed interest in buying it, which would be hilarious.
A very ironic turn of events if there was one.
Absolutely, that would be incredible. However, Dixie Carter, under the old Panda Energy oil regime, also claimed she could buy Vince, and that clearly didn't happen either. So,
That's true.
but we'll see. I would imagine if they sell, WrestleMania is coming up. You would think it would be either right before or right after that, since that tends to be their biggest moneymaker of the year.
Yeah, but really the whole lineup and storylines have held much anybody's attention outside of the hardcore fans.
Their mainstream popularity has been declining for several years now and continues to do so. And that more than anything is why they would sell.
I mean, everybody had hopes that Papa Hunter would turn things around, but then Vince had to come back in and kind of
came back,
bully his way back into the ownership. Because, he's never not going to do that.
Eric Bischoff theorized that Vince wants to, whatever the final chapter is of this company, he theorized that Vince wants to be the one to write it, which does make sense if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, the captain's got to go down with the ship, so.
For sure. And that has pretty much been their strategy for years. The past few years is the fans that are left will be charged more money. The contracts will be structured so that we get more money each year. So all of the declining attendance and ratings and sales doesn't matter because we're still more profitable, which is all that really matters on Wall Street, unfortunately. And if they can sell the company before the bottom completely falls out, they'll be set for life, which is just business.
Sounds like a very Vince thing to do.
A very Vince thing to do, a very corporate America thing to do. They have such a huge library. Honestly, I would hate to see that fall to one specific company, especially one company that doesn't really know what to do with it. When they moved all their programming over to Peacock a few years ago, there was so much great WWE Network content that still has not been re-uploaded over there.
And I felt for sure that like NBC or Universal was going to end up buying WWE because of that too. But I guess they decided not even to do that.
They are one of the obvious contenders. They are allegedly currently losing money on WWE and live sports on Peacock. But again, WrestleMania season is coming up. I would imagine they receive spikes around their big events of the year.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah. Peacock also just removed their free tier, so that might help them gain some numbers as well.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Oh, there goes my
Which is
viewership of anything NBC related. That's not on cable TV. But.
$10 a month is still a fair price, but I just don't think they have enough content.
Yeah, but when you add that $10 a month to the $10 a month of every other streaming service everybody's doing, it's eventually going to be the same price as cable. So
even more if you're on HBO Max or Netflix.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean it literally, if you were to have every streaming service, it literally would be cable prices again right now.
Pretty much,
Just slightly more customized.
It's just cable, but evolved into something different, but the same price.
And it even has ads, just like cable did. What's old is new again.
Yep. And you still can't find anything to watch.
No, we're not breaking new ground here. We're just adding our 2 cents.
Yeah.
Comment down below. Let us know your favorite streaming service.
I will say this, when Netflix wasn't as shooting themselves in the footsie as they are nowadays, they were a really great source of going back and watching all the old 80s cartoons.
They were great for that. And I believe they just... Didn't they just get the license for Pokemon?
Did they?
I thought I saw that.
Well, maybe for distribution, but I don't think they were going to... Well, actually, wait. Didn't they announce they were making like their first original Pokemon production or something like that? I think I heard something like that.
They are. They're making a Pokemon something. And I believe we're getting Detective Pikachu 2 finally.
Nice.
One last bit of Marvel news here.
All right.
Allegedly, the villain in Deadpool 3 will be Danger.
The sentient robot who is the Danger Room itself?
The sentient robot, yes. Again,
Nice.
we don't know if they will follow the comics exactly, but you assume more or less.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't have an opinion on that. I hope Logan will... I just want to see Logan claw some stuff.
I just want to see him and Wade bicker. So.
I just want to see their buddy cop road trip movie.
Yes, and they keep stabbing each other.
Please.
Throughout the entirety of the movie.
Just 90 minutes. 80 of the 90 minutes is just them stabbing each other, please. And Disney super duper pinky swear promises that the movie will be R-rated. They've said this so much, I feel like, is it just one more curse word R-rated, or do they go all in just to warn the normal Disney fans, as they had to do with...
I think for Deadpool, they're willing to give him some leeway, especially considering how successful the Deadpool movies have always been.
You would think so. Yeah, you would think so. That is pretty much the formula. If you're successful, we will leave you alone until you stop being successful, at which point we will tinker, which may or may not make you more or less successful.
That's very true.
Same strategy over on the DC side. Well, we're doing our own universe except for the Batman because that made $1 billion, and except for the Joker movie because that made $1 billion, and except for the animated stuff that makes us money.
And basically, if you're not Batman related, we're gonna just reboot you.
And or if we just can't afford the actors anymore.
Yeah. And with that, we have come to the conclusion of our first episode of Nerdle Soup. Time goes by so quickly, doesn't it?
It does. If only we had Ezra Miller's power to rewind time and change the universe and make things worse.
I will be honest, that's the only thing I'd ever want from Ezra Miller. Everything else he can keep, so.
Yeah, yes, please.
But,
you know what? I don't even want his power. Give me Grant Gustin's power.
There you go.
He's done nothing wrong as of now in 2023. Comment down below. Let us know if Grant Gustin never does anything wrong.
That stays in the public conscience.
Yeah.
Plus, he's had more screen time.
Has he? I don't know. Is that technically? Well, yeah, he's on season 9. They're on season 9 now. That's true.
Yeah, that's definitely way more screen time than whatever Ezra Miller's had so far. It's like 100 shows or something like 100 episodes or something. Yeah.
And I'm guessing it will remain that way. I think that's
probably
a safe bet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the end of episode 1. Tune in next time we post an episode. Are we going to be weekly? What are we thinking?
We're going to try and be weekly, depending on how well we can edit these things for releases. It might be timely, it might not be. Just tune in next time.
Tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
And we'll probably try and have some better graphics up for the visuals, so you're not just staring at a blank screen or anything like that.
Now the question is, are we going to be episode number 2, or are we going Rocky style, Roman numeral 2?
I think whichever the nerds prefer feels more appropriate.
Comment down below. Which 2 do you want us to be?
Comment your comment in the comments. Do you want a 2 or do you want an II?
Or possibly 2 exclamation points.
There you go. Anyway, and this has been your Nerdle Soup for the week. Come back next week for another serving of Nerdle Soup.
You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of damn nerds.
I know that. You'll be back.